We have oil today. 50 years down the line, the oil may not be there. What are we going to do? So, and that was what brought that into being. So now the whole world is talking about green construction, green building, green this, green that. But now in Nigeria, we are yet to still, we need to know about costing green building certification and all that. So, but yet we are still yet to have our own green building council. I'm happy about the president of NIQS, Dr. Amuda, and the group who went to Qatar to look into that issue. I hope in a few years to come, we'll be able to have our own green building council, because that's the way the world is going. And if care is not taken, we will be left behind. Most buildings now should be looking into sustainability, using less energy, conserving energy. So using natural ventilation, natural lighting, and all that. So these are the things we need to do. And that's why research and development is very important to leverage on all these that are happening. Not embracing it. But the university cannot afford this technology because the money is not there. The universities will not give money to do this. For the students coming out of the university, they need to know. I was happy yesterday when a young man approached me. He said, well, I'm developing a software for measurement. I said, oh, this is laudable. He said, can you evaluate? I said, why not? We spend that software in our firms, but there's a need for training. And that's where we need another trajectory, which is called academic enterprise. And I'm happy with the QS Academy that has taken off. So a lot of things can be done there. People need to know about this thing. We can come together in a seminar like this 1 day, 2 days, but people need hands-on to be able to do it. In UK nowadays, they have something they call academic enterprise. And I think that's the kind of thing that QS Academy is doing. So people want to learn new skills. People want to learn new innovation. But cannot be done maybe in 1 day or 2 days or in a seminar, live seminar like this. People need hands-on to be able to do it. People can send their own delegates from the firms to go and learn. People who are older may not have the time to do it, but the younger generation can be empowered to do it. And that's the way for the quantity surveying profession to prosper and go and grow. So we have also the building information modeling. That is the trend now all over the world. So whereby major buildings will have to be constructed based on models, 3D model, 4D model using cost, 5D model including time, 6D, 7D, and on and on. So it's interesting. The UK government has empowered the construction industry, but they said any construction that is in excess of £5 billion must be procured using PIM. And that's a public sector procurement. So we need something like that too in Nigeria. When that was happening, I was in UK at the time, many people from the industry will come to the university to enroll to learn the BIM technology. So we need to do the same if the government give that encouragement to help us, because that's the only way to be able to compete on the global platform. Because the time is coming, we as quantity surveyors will be engaged on a project that is BIM compliant. If it is BIM compliant and you don't know anything about BIM, then it means that job is not for you. So like the Atlantic project in Lagos now, it's being constructed using BIM, and so many other projects coming up now. So this is the future of the profession, and it's very important for us to look at it. And also we have the augmented virtual reality. A client, if you want to buy a car, you buy the car you like. A client does not see the building until it's constructed. But nowadays we have the facility for virtual reality. A client can wear it and then you walk through before the building is constructed and be able to see, okay, this is my room. Okay, this is another person's room. This is where the clerk sits and all that. Can see the building before it's ever constructed, virtually. And then can say, okay, I don't like this, I don't like that. Before getting to site and you begin to pull down this, pull down that, virtually you can walk through and then be able to see. And then that helps to be able to take the QS profession to a new level. And also we have Internet of Things, which is also now trending in the developed part of the world. So this is something that connects so many things together. You can be away from home, you realize that, well, I forgot to switch on my AC in my house or in my office. Just remember, the Internet of Things connects you from your office to that place. You can do that. So people can be, okay, maybe you have to go to the airport, you have a booking. Your flight is supposed to be 8 o'clock. But now, the flight has been shifted, maybe to 9 or 9:30. Maybe you want to wake at 7. Your alarm may not go off until 8 o'clock because you're already connected through the Internet of Things that the flight has been changed. And just wake up at 8. You may think, oh, I'm late already. But you are not late because it's already made the connection. So the world is changing. And so also we need to change. And that's very fast. Now, what are the challenges? We have the opportunities. I won't call those ones challenges, opportunities, which we need to leverage on. But there are also challenges, which we also need to be aware of. The greatest challenge is the traditional paper-based mindset of the industry. So we still want to hold on to our pen and paper. While that is good, but the issue is it slows us down. If a job can be done in 2 weeks, why do you need to spend 3 months to keep paying salaries to do it? So that will not make us be competitive. And also low adoption of new software and technology. So the software are there, majority of them, though expensive, but there's a need for investment in all of this. It's a risk sometimes. But then, because we have over-reliance on traditional procurement, I mentioned that before, there are so many procurement methods that are applicable to our different situations. But when we don't take time to learn and see how this can be useful, then they're just there and then we don't take advantage of them. And again, another big challenge is unwillingness to take the risk in investing in new technologies. We need to be willing. So when things are coming, that's why the developed world is developing. Every now and then you don't see something changing. People want to change, but we acquiring one thing, we want to acquire it for life. Life is not like that. The life is dynamic. And when we are changing with the world, then things also will move in the right direction. Now, how can we leverage R&D for global competitiveness? Very important for us, what is this global competitiveness we have been talking about? It's just an assessment of the ability of countries to provide high levels of prosperity to citizens. And this, of course, will depend on how productively a country uses the resources available to it. So that is global competitiveness. And since 2004, the World Economic Forum has devised some indices to measure competitiveness, which is called Global Competitiveness Index. And they have other indices too, Prosperity Index, Happiness Index, so many indices that they have devised. So now the Global Competitive Index is an economic assessment of microeconomic and macroeconomic foundations of national competitiveness that determine the level of productivity of a country. So we want to see how productive we are as a country. And before, any country can boast, we are the best in the world. And we Nigerians, we have the big mouth to boast that we are the giant of Africa. This until you get to another country, and then you begin. But this now helps us to see, the indices, helps us to see where we are. Out of 140 countries. So, and that is a wake-up call for us as a country in terms of global competitiveness. If you compare to number 1, which is US, so we're about 42.85% below the world best. So which means for us to be able to, for us to happen, people make them to happen. And we only need to know how did they do it to make it happen. And so between success and failure is information and how you respond to information of the world. But Nigeria, we need, it's a wake-up call for us. That's 2018 data. That's institutions, higher education institutions, and research institutions, they have a partnership between industry and academia. So that helps a lot. And also we need a medium to communicate research output, not just staying on the shelf. So when we do that, we'll be able to move to the next level. So the last point here is the need for startup grants for new researchers and availability of research grants to solve quantitative problems. So we need government and institutional startup grants. You know, somebody has just finished PhD. PhD is not an end. It's a beginning, just a training to do research. For the young man, the young woman who has just acquired a PhD, he needs a research grant to move on. This is something we have not been doing in Nigeria, and we need to start doing it. RICS does things like that, pool of money. So maybe QSRB and NIQS, we need to look into that. Get startup grant, and also the government too, network with the government to get things like this down. And then there's also the need for research assessment. Because not just doing research for doing sake. When excellent research is done, it needs to be rewarded. And then there will be competition between one higher education institution and another. When excellent researches are done, more money will be pumped because they know that more will be done. For instance, in the likes of Oxford, Cambridge, in UK, they know they do high-level research. More money is pumped. And those that are more interested in teaching, they don't give much money for research. So we need to do such if we are to global competitiveness. And I'll just conclude briefly. The goal of global competitiveness, as we know it, is not an elusive one. It is attainable. World-class countries that are globally competitive set targets and constantly work at them. We also need to do the same. And for the quantity survey profession to attain global competitiveness through R&D, we need to break away from the traditional approach to research. There's a need for us to do capacity building, develop centers of excellence in research, as well as multidisciplinary collaborations. And in addition to that, we also need to have a strong partnership between academia, QS firms, construction companies, and government. There's a need for availability of grants to solve specific QS problems that will be of immense benefit. And also a need for a metric for measuring research quality. Research excellence needs to be highlighted, and also the need also to be well rewarded where they are well done. And also, the final one, talk, he did not jump there, he climbed there. We as a country and as a noble profession can learn from world-class countries by setting attainable goals in research and development. Work assiduously towards achieving them, and in no distant time, we will be globally competitive through research and development. Thank you for listening.
Once again. So what we're going to do is discuss this paper as it relates to the various areas where we work. We know that there are quantity surveyors in the public sector. There are quantity surveyors in the private sector, in academia. And all of these will affect us differently. So if I have 4 groups here. If you're engaged in private practice, I would like to request that you come to my right, your left, this extreme right, toward the front. The session for the private sector will be led by QS Ahmed Kabir. So immediately after this, please you move to this side. Then, sorry. For the public sector, I will need you to stay on this row toward the back, please. And that session will be led by QS Gagariga. I hope I got that right. Taridoye, yes, that's the other name. So please you will move to the back of this row. For those in academia, that's us, you move to this extreme end. That session will be led by Dr. M. Abdrazak. I've not seen, okay. Dr. M. Abdrazak would lead the session for those in academia. Now, there's one more group for those in banking, oil and gas, mining, and every other private industry where it's not purely construction per se. Please, you would stay on this row. Unfortunately, I do not have a leader for that group. So can I quickly get a volunteer?
Generally agreed that this cannot be done individually. The need for quantity QS Academy, the Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors, and practicing firms to come together and work towards building a viable knowledge or sustainable knowledge in what we do. cannot be undermined. Then firms to establish research units, like I said earlier. Then another key point that was raised is the way we treat data. Research is data-driven, and you cannot go far without documenting your lesson learned. You are on a project in the last year, 2018, and you encounter certain problems. Did you document it? So if you documented it, that will form part of your lesson learned, and probably former researchers can go beyond that and see how to provide solutions to those problems. And in conclusion, I want to say once again that we need to cultivate the habit for research and development. Thank you once again.
There's more when the collated document reaches us. Can we take the submission from the public sector? QS Gagariga Taridoe, please.
Highlighted was that in the public sector, most MDAs have departments of planning, research, and statistics, but they are not functional. They are moribund. They are just there. And the reason, and we also identified that beyond these departments being moribund, that information that should be channeled to these departments are compartmentalized in the various other sections, such as in the architecture section, civil, QS section. They are not centralized. There's no synergy between the various departments which should forward the information to the Department of Planning, Research and Statistics, which can now be used to generate information for further research. And the reason for this is that there's no political will to push for synergy between the various departments. And we discovered that, of course, it's politics that covers a lot of these things. And so what we're looking at and agreeing is that, one, there should be reorientation of various government agencies to re-energize the Department of Planning, Research and Statistics, put in that department relevant professionals with the necessary, we call it credentials, to be able to draw information from the various co-professionals. And QSRB should be at the forefront to help to push for quantity surveyors to be there to help. And then we also asked that for those of us who are rising in the public sector, we should be charismatic and have the ability to influence at our individual levels a change towards planning research. Because when we're able to do that, little drops of water are the ones that make a mighty ocean. So in a little area, whatever we can do can, at the end of the day, have a greater influence on planning research and statistics. Because of time, I think I'll just keep it there. Thank you.
Also, quantity surveyors in public sector need retraining, and that's one of the issues that was raised in the paper, that we cannot move forward with our traditional mindset. So can we have the feedback from the Educators Forum, Dr. Mustafa Abdulrazak, please?
I'm Mustafa Abdulrazak from the academia. We looked at our own contribution from three perspectives. First one, we discussed the opportunities that may be available for the academia when it comes to R&D. And the key things we mentioned were that the academia, as the academics, should focus more on collaborations in terms of research. When we have ideas that require our inter-collaboration, that is quantity surveyors to quantity surveyors, we should look for those that have ideas that can support our own, and of course even inter-operations, meaning from quantity surveyors and others, especially now that we're going in, maybe you may have to collaborate with computer scientists, mathematicians, and so on. So collaboration is very, very important. And then the opportunities, grant opportunities do exist, and quantity surveyors in the academia should go forth and search for these grants and make sure that they capture them with, of course, good proposals. Then capacity building and visibility. We should ensure that we build capacity and we make ourselves visible in the international arena. Then the other part, challenges. We spoke about the challenges that we have for for imbibing R&D culture in our in the academics, and those were more than any other thing, but I'll just brief on some. Then inadequate mentorship, behavior of, the relationship between mentors and mentees, supervisors and supervisees. We should just try to improve on the relationship, because, as we said, that probably we are not as friendly as those that are outside the country are. And I say, well, those ones are more encouraged, but on our part, we have advised ourselves to do more in trying to develop good relationships. Then bureaucratic bottlenecks. As usual, even the universities now, we have unnecessary bottlenecks. Quality of research, internet connectivity. As simple and as funny as it sounds, in our universities, in our academic areas, we have issues with internet connectivity. Well, these are some of the challenges. There are others, but of course I will try to give. Then strategies to get where we need. The very first one that we punctured was joint subscription of high impact journals across the world by the QSIBM and NIQS, it may be, or the QSIBM only. Because one of the major challenges that we face is the lack of access to good material in the universities and other institutions of learning. So if QSIBM would take the initiative of, bringing forth those materials, and then we go through QSIBM, not necessarily through the institutions, it will be very good. Then, of course, I will leave it at that. We'll go and tidy up your notes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdulrazak. I'm aware that one of the objections that those in practice have with academic research is that they are too theoretical and have very little practical implications. And I'm sure that's one of the things that was discussed by the academics. So we'll take the final group from the oil and gas, military, the banking sector, represented by QS Shokunbi Olubinga.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Shokunbi Olubinga, representing the oil and gas sector. Unlike my counterpart yesterday, I am not dressed like an oil and gas person. In the oil and gas sector, we discussed about research and development being in existence already, because the oil and gas industry is driven by technology, is driven by knowledge, and that's what improves production. So there is already in place research and development. About the only challenge is that it is not tended towards the quantity surveying profession. It is tended towards increased production of the hydrocarbon. And so that creates an opportunity for us as quantity surveyors in that practice to make sure we will drive the R&D budget already in place in the oil and gas sector towards the practice of the profession. And how do you do that? You need to demonstrate the obtainable value from R&D as a quantity surveyor. If you demonstrate, just like we were told in the course of the lecture, that a work of 3 months can be done in 2 weeks by investment in R&D and aggregating the values from R&D. Anybody in production will naturally tend towards that area to cut the time and the cost of production. Also, we talked about partnership with IOCs. You know that a lot of the participants in the oil and gas sectors are IOCs, international oil and gas companies, and research and development are ingrained from their own country. So it is a culture they bring in here. So all you need to do is to make sure that from the home country, the culture is already ingrained. Make sure that you can take advantage of it. I remember coming for this conference, I was told, do you really need to go? I said, do you ask accountants when they are going for ICANN, do they really need to go? That's how you demonstrate it. Let them know that you are delivering value as a quantity surveyor. And if as a quantity surveyor, there is an aspect of research and development that will make production good, just demonstrate the value and you'll be supported. We also had input from tourism sector. I'll make it short. Tourism, also like oil and gas, is a global business. It requires you to be in step with every other part of the world in your delivery of the tourism. And as such, you need to bring forth infrastructures and developments requiring the best of R&D outputs. That's our discourse in the oil and gas sector group. Thank you.
Thank you very much, please, I will need the summary of your discussion. For all the group leaders, please, we need the summary of your discussions immediately after now. It's been a fruitful deliberation. The full paper will be made available to you subsequently by the Secretariat. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ajobo, I'm sorry. Somebody, Sally, who Sanusi made payments yesterday but did not pick up his receipts to make some comments on this syndicate session.
Okay, QSRB. I want to thank all of you for participating in the syndicate sessions. Because we document these things for future, to drive our path through the future, we need to be, as I said to one of the groups, be very strategic in our thinking and the way that we are taking things up. It's no criticism, it's just to try and, as I said, help us all to be focused. Because I've had a report here, for instance, that talked about tourism. You know, it would be nice for the KSRB to know what aspects of tourism you want us to be involved with. I've clarified that in the private sector, where there was some talk on agriculture. You need to let us know exactly what aspect of agriculture you want us to be focused on. Because R&D can't just be an open sesame. It has to be focused. It has to be on things that we can truly drive. We have enough problems fighting with people within our industry to take on more of those kinds of fights and challenges elsewhere. So there's really a need, when we talk about R&D, for us to choose exactly what it is and to be practical about it too. You know, to be practical about it. You can't just open it all like that. So I would hope that when we synthesize the recommendations that have been made, we take just those aspects of it which will help drive the quality surveying profession forward and into the future. Not just things that are unnecessarily speculative. That said, I want to wish you all a good tea break.
Engineering, quantity surveying as a profession, where are we with the use of information technology and how innovative we've been? I'll talk about innovation, globalization strategies, and competitive advantage. Of the traditional method we are used to. You procure, a client will contact an architect will give his brief, a QS will prepare a tender, a contractor, you select the contractor, you prepare the tender, you appraise it, then you place an order, at least contractor will do the work. It's being paid through interim payment, and you come up with the final payment. But this process has some inherent problems. We have adversarial relationship that Professor Odenka talked about, and because the process is fragmented, people come together on ad hoc basis. You will see an architect, a QS, structural engineer, mechanical engineer, they come together temporarily just for the execution of the project, after which everybody goes back to hibernation or go back to your office. You have very little time spent on development of design. Along the line, you have cost overrun, time overrun. At times, it could be even outright abandonment of a project. You have minimum communication and interaction among members, high cost overrun compared to initial cost, and you have poor site management because the drawing wasn't ready as at the time the project is public commission. Yeah. President John F. Kennedy of the United States, he said, change is the law of life, and those that look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. As a result of this, there was construction revolution some decades back. The revolution was orchestrated by the advent or advancement in information and communication technology, and anybody that's here will know definitely that when you use information and communication technology effectively, there's going to be a reduction in cost. There's going to be innovation because it's going to drive the innovative drive in you, and there's going to be more efficiency in the way you discharge your duty. Innovation could be, it has several dimensions, notably 4 of it. It could be in the process, it could be in the product, it could be in marketing, and it could be within the organization. But if you have innovative idea, you have information and communication technology, or you have the expertise. If you don't mix it up with appropriate strategy, you may likely miss the competitiveness or the advantage that will come as a result of a competitiveness. Now, this construction re-engineering, we have the old way of doing things, the traditional one that I just showed us briefly. This construction re-engineering, when information and communication technology came, people begin to think outside the box, and people are trying to address issues the way it should be, so that we'll be able to have a better project being executed, completed on time and on cost, and to meet the quality. It is for us to know, the Millennium Dome in UK was conducted within time and cost, but to many people in the UK, it's a useless effort. That all the effort may likely be in futility, or the high idea of innovation may likely fail. It is only when it is mixed up with strategy that you have competitive advantage, just for you to have an edge over your competitors. Then you are going to have superior performance, because when you have competitive advantage, you are going to have more profit, more returns, and invariably, when you have more returns and you have low workers turnover, then you can say you are performing. We have cost leadership. You can first of building materials, because when you go on Facebook, you see people posting different, all sorts of things. Is it improving the patronage? How has it benefited? How has it benefited the organization you're doing this? You will see, and it will increase competition. You know what others are doing, and from there you can improve. What are the drawbacks? You have low wages, because everything is global, you can see. Then labor will be very cheap. Higher discrepancy between aging and emerging professionals. Let me just give a simple example. If I'm a contractor, and my colleague, let's say I'm about 60, my colleagues that will be in the ministry will be either a position of director or about leaving the ministry. If I have a son of 25 years and I start introducing him to those that will be maybe slightly above his age or will be his colleague, it means there is a what they call succession. Even if I'm phased out, the thing can still continue, because he'll be able to relate with people coming behind me. It will get to a point that people that will be meeting, even if they want to discuss with me, they won't be looking at my age. It's a friend to our director, they will not be able to discuss with me. So we have the same thing in practice. People that are aging, people that have resisted changes, they cannot use computer, they cannot do anything, and they don't want to change from the whole way of doing things. And new people are coming, more digital. In fact, they use software for virtually everything. They go into BIM, they have augmented virtual reality, they have virtual, all those things, they are into it. Definitely, naturally, those aging people will phase out of the industry, but it destroys our local industry. My friend here, you will see, when somebody was talking yesterday, that many quantities of yours, qualified quantities of yours, registered quantities of yours, outside the shore of this country, they are in Qatar. It means if it continues that way, it will come to a point that many qualified QS will be outside the country, making their money while we are struggling here. And are we investing the same way in our educational system here? Because John Welsh said, if the rate of changes on the outside is more than the rate of changes within or inside, the end is near. So the investment should not be only on established professionals, but those people that will take over from our mothers and our fathers here. That's where the development should be. And that is why I want to suggest that most of the things, the one I was talking about, it was commercial industrial development of South Africa. How can we export our skill to other neighboring African countries? How do you progress within the industry? Because they have 9 categories of contractor, grade 1 up to grade 9. They commission research, measure performance of contractors. They have a lot of things for the SME. The commission research. We should have something like that in Nigeria too. And I know there was a time the idea was mooted. I don't know whether it was during the time of Mr. Jale Koko, that we should have something like Construction Development Board or Data Bank, something like that, or Construction Bank. This thing will help us and even help all the professionals within the industry. Professional bodies may wish to work collaboratively on programs to educate investors. The reason why I put this one there, I know you will say you've been doing it. Most of these things, people resist anything that has to do with change. If you say e-procurement now, they will tell you you've been doing it. But when you go to their website, you will see that they only have something they will talk about tendering and nothing else. Are we truly doing e-procurement, e-contract management? People are deploying unmanned area vehicle to even know what is happening on site, to track cliff rates, to do so many other things. Are we there yet? QRSBN as a matter of utmost requirement. Well, I don't know, but in South Africa, they have a course. They don't cover all these 15, 16 courses that we do in the university. They don't do more than 5. The school that I went to, 5 courses per semester. And one of the courses in the second semester is construction innovation. Go to internet, you will see a building of 25 stories being realized within 6 days. 6 days. Go to internet, go to YouTube, you will see video. 25-story building, 50-story building, not more than 10 days. And that is through innovative ideas. We should be able to have something like, I know QRSBN do accredit universities and polytechnics. It's something like construction innovation should be a course that people will try to learn. And so that we're able to even bring people from industry. Because the majority of us who are in the classroom, it's only what you're able to read and where you're able to face it. But people practicing, you see a lot of things. You know, somebody that read 7 books and somebody that visited 7 countries, they have different experience. QRSBN and NIKS should play a key role in informing the construction revolution and contribution to the wealth creation. What do I mean by this? If we don't do it, nobody will do it for us. I remember QS Ford for this procurement act. But when it came to practice, you see people that read purchase and supply economics and were taking the lead. QS, NIQS and QSRBN, they should take the go by the one. This Construction Industry Development Board should be a reality. We should have something like that. And we'll take the lead. People leading them in South Africa, they are countries of Europe. Not that they don't have other professionals, but there you can improve the construction industry. Construction industry can perform better. And construction industry has linkages to all the sectors of the economy. Be it health, be it anything that you want to talk about. It has linkage to construction industry. A viable construction industry will lead to a better Nigeria. And good, well, even if we have ability to innovate and we have provisions, information and communication technology, we have good strategy, and you don't have an enabling environment, you may not be able to achieve this. Thank you.
For your illuminating paper. IT begin to develop strategies. Going from now into the syndicate session, and it will be coordinated by Dr. Mrs. Alolote Amadi.
Organizations can manage large volumes of information to more manageable elements that can use this in promoting strategic decision making. So these are the kind of innovative ideas that we as quantity surveyors have opportunities to tap into. So let's take a cue from the previous sessions. We'll divide ourselves into the groups that we had earlier on assumed. We'll have the private practice in the first row. And it will be groups, the group head will be headed by Mr. Bola Adeyela. I don't know if he's still in the arena. Please, if you're around, could you signify? Or maybe when we convene, we're going to be able to appoint a group head. Public sector will be headed by QS Odu Gift Azubike. Are you in the arena, please? QS Odu. Okay. And the academia, QS Benjamin Woking. Okay. And for others, Mrs. Benedicta Onyibe. Please, could you signify? Thank you. So please, without wasting much time, let's sort ourselves into the 4 groups: private practice, public sector, and we'll have others which will comprise the oil industry and other non-particular professions, and as well as academia and the last session, just the way we organized ourselves earlier today. We just have 5 minutes to do that, and we'll have about 25 minutes each to reach our deliberations, after which our group coordinators are going to come forward for their presentations. Thank you.
Fellow professionals, the task given to us as construction professionals in the industry is the role of information technology and innovation in creating competitive advantage for Nigeria, quantity surveyors. Now, in the private practice group, it's agreed by all parties that information tech and innovation is a way to go. That we are agreed as a way to go. However, there are opinions about how fast you should go to apply information technology in your practice. And that basically is because if you create an environment where you cannot actually interface with others, that will in itself be counterproductive for you. So as a start, you must be able to know where you are, what are your core competencies, and then you now know where you can proceed from. We also talked about the advantages of using this information technology in making or creating speed in our works, and we can appreciate that if you use information technology to do that, that it is something that can be achieved. We also discussed that there will be need for policies, government policies, an interface between the QRSB and the NIQS and government policymakers to create the atmosphere for information technology and innovation-based products for them to be able to achieve this task of having to do projects faster and achieve better results, and then for us to be globally competitive. And that is in the sense that even in Britain, that's where the bean is generally being put into good and effective use, they still have government playing a very fundamental role in forming policies and programs that enable people to tie in. But by and large, our opinion is collective, and we agree that this is good, it's important, and as quantity surveyors, if we must play in this 21st century, we need to have information technology and then see how that can make us to be more creative and competitive in the international market. Thank you.
For the public sector, talking about facing the rate of change, IT-based change to manageable proportions, and the role of government in managing this change. I would like to quickly call upon the private sector, the representative, the group head, to come forward with this presentation.
It's from the public sector, and from our deliberations we came up with the challenges and bottlenecks that are faced by workers in the public sector, quantity surveyors in the public sectors. For example, the first one we came up with is that quantity surveyors don't know the softwares to use, and it was advised that softwares be itemized and plans be made on training ourselves on such softwares. But for this part, it is important that we ourselves, without looking for the efforts of the organizations that we work for, on our own, find out ways we can come up with these softwares and find out ways that we can improve ourselves and train ourselves on these softwares. It was also advised that NIQS and QSRVN should itemize and recommend softwares to be used. There should be like a uniform platform that we can always visit to know softwares that has been approved, that has been vetted properly to be sure that they are efficient. Like some of these softwares might not have the proper way we should do these things. So if we know the accurate softwares that should be used because it has been vetted appropriately by respective units in the bodies, we will come up with the softwares that are most effective for us to use. Also, we itemized that for some offices in the public sector, the quantity surveyors are not do not directly handle the typing and editing of BOQs. Sometimes especially quantity surveyors are not IT oriented. They come up with their BOQs with the manual method, the writes and all that. They handle it to secretaries or people in the admin staff to type it. Then when it comes back to them, they have to edit it, to make corrections and all that. So that really causes a bottleneck. So it's advised that quantity surveyors, if you're a quantity surveyor, you should have at least sufficient knowledge enough to use a computer. You should be computer literate enough to use Microsoft Word, Excel to type your documents yourself, so we don't have documents that are printed, BOQs and all that valuations with so many mistakes in them. And procedures and documents used by quantity surveyors are archaic and outdated. The QS documents and an e-platform should be adopted and regularly updated, on which we can post these things that we need by respective organizations that have updated theirs. Then there's lots of inefficient softwares out there now. Each organization, each person wants to come up with his own software. So this bottleneck should be truncated by making sure before softwares are produced or softwares are accepted in the quantity surveying body, respective organizations should ensure that it's the actual and effective softwares that are produced. Then also another bottleneck we notice is that directors and top positions of respective organizations in the public sector are not present in this discussion. Sufficient number of them are not present. So once these problems are discussed and itemized, there's no way to ensure implementation of the solutions to these problems because they are not here. So if there's a way NIQS and QSRBN should ensure that they note these problems and can go back and call these directors or call these respective bosses of public sector organizations to ensure that these problems are actually properly implemented, the solutions are properly and effectively implemented. Then also one problem we itemize with the public sector, which is very crucial to the public sector, is the cost of training and purchasing of these softwares. Some of these softwares are very expensive, and public sectors, you have to apply to the boss, to the director, he has to approve it, and it goes to the accounting department for them to pay you the money to go on these softwares. And these things, the money doesn't easily come to us to purchase these things. So we need to ensure that the directors of these organizations are willing to pay for it. And besides the cost of purchasing the software, there's also the cost of training on how to use the software. You buy a software of maybe over #1 million, then they tell you the cost of bringing staff to train people on this software is going to cost you over 700,000 naira. So in the public sector, we don't have enough money to do this thing. So this bottleneck also has to be corrected to ensure that the fund for training on IT will be available. Thank you.
You mentioned about identifying ways of standardizing and phasing out inefficient software, creating an e-platform, as well as the role of NIQS and QSRBN. You also talked about the training and funding and eliminating bureaucratic bottlenecks in approving funds for IT-based training. I would like to quickly call upon the other group that comprises the oil industry and other related professionals. Can you please come up? The group.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm representing the other groups, oil and gas, banking, and other professions. Okay, so we discussed how technology and innovation affect our jobs as quantity surveyors. So we're able to identify that for innovation is actually better ways of delivering and better ways of giving value as a quantity surveyor, and easing the process and transparency of tracking the process of. Hello? So we were able to identify, first of all, the use of software in generating BOQs and measurements. We were able to identify QS card, navies that can generate quantities and can generate BOQs just by uploading drawings. This use of software will make is a way of applying technology, is a way of applying innovation. So also we discussed about electronic tendering, which is actually operational in the industry. We have the NAPEX portal. So we have this way, is a way of, we bid electronically. Tenders are made to submit online through the use of software. We get feedbacks, so there's no need for you to go through the traditional way of collecting tenders, doing it manually. Mistakes are avoided. So when tenders submitted, we get feedbacks, and we'll be able to track all the tenders that are being submitted, all the bids that we'll be able to track it, and all are sorted out, and tenders are given the opportunities to ask questions or any issues that may come about. We're able to respond on the software. So we also identified that in the other areas of quantity surveying, how do we apply ICT? Since ICT is a way of improving, is a way of delivering projects with value, true value, and aiding transparency. So we have other projects, other areas like contract administration, valuation, procurement. How do we apply ICT? So we identified the use of BIM, which was discussed today. We see that we're able to solve issues of alterations, issues of additions or omissions through the BIM. Just as our facilitator said, the client is able to foresee, give a walkthrough of the design. So he's able to identify what he wants instead of getting to site and just doing some break-ins. We'll avoid all sorts of break-ins, all sorts of alterations that might come up. So we'll be able to manage it through the use of QS software. Then we also have life cycle. We also discuss life cycle, that's post-construction activities. How do we manage the life cycle of a project? So we also identify softwares that we could use that can give a report of all spent or actual costs carried out for any particular item on the project. So with the software to manage life cycle, we'll be able to manage project and be able to give like a projection which will help in estimate or cost analysis of other projects that may come up. So we have also, we have software like SAP or e-sourcing software like eCore, which have been operational in the industry. And it also aids monitoring and control of projects. So we'll be able to monitor. So instead of the traditional ways of doing things, the ICT, the ICT softwares will be able to give us feedback based on this. Thank you very much.
From the other group, and she's talked about identifying value-adding activities, going on all facets of the quantity surveying profession as much as possible, and even in the areas of life cycle management. That's an area for further innovation, the use of IT. I'd like to quickly call upon the group head for academia, Curious Belmoke, to come and do his presentation.
IT in teaching and learning. We said the first thing to do when we teach our students and the way they learn. And this can be done by introducing audio visuals in our lecture deliveries. Then the next thing we can do as innovation in this area is by digitalization of supervisions. You don't need through IT, we should innovate ways to do that. Then the other thing is we should update our curriculum. We should update it in such a way that IT training is in the forefront. IT should not just be a course to do for one semester. It should be a course that should run all through the semesters so that our students will be grounded in IT. Then the next thing is that the methodology the next thing to do is that most institutions have IT in their course curriculum, but these IT are not QS related. It is general. It's just saying IT or introduction to IT. But from now, lecturers should do it in such a way that it is IT in relation to quantity surveying. IT in relation to quantity surveying. Courses like mathematics also should be related to quantity surveying, where our students are taught the basics of mensurations and all those things. So it will be better for us if they are directly related to quantity surveying. We also found out that one of the problems we are having as university lecturers is the reluctance to accept changes, the reluctance to accept innovations. Most of us are not ready to accept innovations. We want to do it the way we used to do it. So lecturers should be open to innovations in areas like IT. Lecturers should also take advantage of opportunities available for training people. Because probably you didn't do it in your own time, you don't want to develop that skill. We should also try to do that. We also advise that lecturers, we are being controlled by NUC standards and BTE standards. We should know that these standards are minimum, they are basic minimums. We should not limit ourselves to MBTE and NUC standards. We should go ahead for teaching our students those things that are practical, those things that they need to become successful quantity surveyors. We also found out that the interaction between industry and the academia, there is a very big gap. So we should innovate our lecturing standards such that once in a while we invite people from industries to come and talk to the students, to come and teach them, so that they will be exposed to on-hand knowledge, to practical knowledge. When you see somebody, this one is a quantity surveyor, by the time he talks to you, his experiences in the field, his experiences in the profession, you will be in a better position to understand that. Then what is the way forward? And develop a curriculum that is innovative and IT compliant. Universities will also close ranks so that industry-based experience can be passed to the students. Universities should also close ranks to ensure that the results of research are made available to those in the industries, so that from there they can also use it to solve problems. We also said our lecturers to take advantage of training opportunities that are available. There are a lot of training opportunities available, TED-Fund, needs assessment. They all train students, they all train lecturers, academic and academic staff. So quantity surveyors in the academia should also key in and take advantage of these opportunities. Thank you very much.
That's wonderful. I talked about the use of audiovisual devices in our lecture halls. We should have more industry-based practitioners in the lecture rooms. Talks about more bespoke training in IT, whereby the courses being taught, IT courses should be tailor-made to suit the quantity surveying profession, and lecturers and trainers should be more open-minded and less resistant to training, and there should be more synergy between industry and academia. NUC standards are just benchmarks, and therefore there is room for improvement. That wraps up the presentations for the day. Thank you all.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Are we still in the house? Can I have a show of hands, please? Wonderful, wonderful. That is very encouraging. My task here is simple this afternoon. I'm going to present the closing remark by the local organizing chairman, Professor McCarthy, for the 2019 Annual Assembly of Registered Quantity Surveyors. I stand on existing protocol and I proceed as follows. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We have come to the close of yet another memorable annual assembly of registered quantity surveyors. And I have once again been given the responsibility to provide the closing remarks on behalf of the Quantity Surveyors Registration Board of Nigeria. I am quite humbled and honored to have been given this responsibility. The theme for this year's assembly is strengthening the quantity surveying profession in Nigeria for global competitiveness. The idea is to trigger discussions on the need for Nigerian quantity surveyors to develop knowledge and skills that will make them competitive globally. Three main issues were deliberated upon. Firstly, the role of efficient training and continuous professional development in attaining global competitiveness. Secondly, research and development as strategies for attaining global competitiveness. And finally, the role of IT and innovation in creating competitive advantage for Nigerian quantity surveyors. As expected, many salient issues, ideas, and solutions to the numerous issues raised have been brought up, reflecting diverse sectorial perspectives and a very strong resolve to uplift the profession to even higher standards. The contributions have been far-reaching, very deep, sound, and very reassuring. This has rekindled confidence in our strides towards becoming second to none in professional excellence on a global scale. Within the last 48 hours or so, we have learned that efficient training and continuous professional development are fundamental in keeping with global competitiveness. We have seen the various dimensions by which these key ingredients can be pursued. I am confident that the board will actively pursue these vigorously and use them as a platform upon which appropriate policies will be instituted. The whole essence of research and development in facilitating global competitiveness has been emphasized time and time and time again. We have learned of the various strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, including challenges to the profession in the modern world, and the ways by which these can be harnessed or curbed through research and development. The board will certainly utilize these in formulating policies and strategies that will emphasize the vigorous pursuit of a solid research and development agenda, which is at the core of its global competitiveness drive. Finally, we have learnt of the roles of IT and innovation in creating competitive advantages for the Nigerian quantity surveyor, you and I. We have seen that it is crucial to employ appropriate technologies and inculcate a consistent culture of innovation in our professional practice and everyday lives. Clearly, there is urgent need to prioritize these key aspects. It is also clear that there is a need for an enabling environment in support of proper utilization of IT and vigorous pursuit of innovation. This board will certainly take into account all suggestions in coming up with the best strategies to adopt towards ensuring optimum utilization of IT, and also promotion of innovation in quantity surveying practices in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, this board has learned significantly from all of the deliberations and all of your contributions, and we are forever grateful. Having listened to all of you, this board appreciates the invaluable benefits of having such an assembly even more, and must therefore thank you all for being in attendance and taking time out of your very busy schedules to be here, and for your remarkable contributions. This board truly appreciates your being here, and as is the practice, these deliberations will be collated and communicated to all registered quantity surveyors in the coming weeks. I will have to thank His Excellency, the Honourable Minister of Power, Works and Housing, for his contributions towards the success of this assembly. This board appreciates the presence of all past presidents of the board, the president of NIQS, and presidents of other regulatory and professional bodies for being here with us over the last 2 days. I would also have to express the appreciation of this board for the support that it has received from the media in covering this event and in making sure that its outcome gets to those who cannot be here with us. This board appreciates the efforts of all those who participated in organizing this successful event. And in particular, we appreciate the efforts of members of the local organizing committee who invested a lot of effort in realizing this plan. Of course, we appreciate all the facilitators and coordinators of all of the sessions. We are particularly grateful to them for steering and coordinating the discussions, which have been very robust at times in such professional ways. And finally, again, we must appreciate the President of the Board for hosting us and for providing the positive leadership that facilitates such a memorable assembly of quantity surveyors in 2019. Once again, I thank you as we look forward to meeting you to discuss yet another set of important matters on the profession at the 2020 Annual Assembly of Registered Quantity Surveyors. I wish you all a very safe trip back to your respective abodes. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Program is success. Prof?
Yes.
Thank you. Professor Harry Wedinka. I won't have to say much about Harry. We all had or listened to his paper. He just incited us. Research and development is what drives organizations. Any organizations that are not involved in that will probably be heading towards extinction. So, Prof, we thank you very much sincerely for waking us up. We will continue to cash on your wisdom and knowledge, and I'm sure you will oblige us. Thank you very much. Professor Enoch. Prof and I share something in common, the love for history. He by force, me by choice. Prof, we sincerely thank you. You have given us another dimension to the whole process of learning and living on top of situations. You've given us our journey so far. You've told us where we'll be. Incidentally, Prof is also the author of the NIQS or quantitative history in Nigeria. Very soon, thank you very much, Prof. We appreciate you. He's not a quantitative, he's a historian, but his daughter is a quantitative. So that's it. Dr. Gani Guy Yusuf. Well, ordinarily I shouldn't thank him because he's supposed to be in charge of professional development and library. So he was just doing his job. But I think when we listen, those of us that listen to his paper yesterday, even though he keeps leaning on his prof, Odeka and so on, we know that the prof is also proud of him because he did a wonderful job. We hope you will continue to give your wisdom and knowledge to the concerned family. Thank you very much. Next is Dr. Oyeobi Lukman Oyekunle. Is he around? Yes. The IT man. Actually, we are hoping that 2 generations of us will benefit most from him. The very old generations that are still operating the traditional method, and the young ones that are coming in as newly registered. That is the next frontier. We sincerely thank you and we appreciate the enormous work you put in this project. Thank you, Dr. Ekule. Dr. Lamte Budikom Anjiba Daniel. Dr. Mrs. Lamte Budikom is also the head of counseling in the River State University. She's been a best setter, she's done well for the profession, and she's going to be the incoming chairperson of River State chapter. So, actually we call her at the dying minutes because the person that was supposed to hold paper had a health challenge and she didn't think, she just took the opportunity and then she was here for us, so we should sincerely thank her. Madam, thank you very much. Dr. Amadi Alolote. Am I correct? Yeah. Well, Kola is saying that I was not sure for client, so I shook my hand. I'm fine. Madam, thank you very much. We saw how you really coordinated the presentation study, and thank you very much. And you are welcome into the family of the huge resources of the NIQS. Those of you in the academics who want to bear with us because we keep tasking you. Thank you very much. Dr. Glomri Depato Adobo. Yes. Oh. those who were at the last AGM saw how she dazzled the young inductees, and we were also dazzled. She's one of our hopes in the industry, in the academics, and we are very proud of you. We'll continue to give you the support you require while we extract what we can from you. Thank you. Well, the last presentation is for Professor Ibrahim Hamagafi. He is he has coordinated the local organizing committee of this AGM. He did that last. Even when he came and asked for a relief, we refused him because he did very well and he's still doing very well. So life, eh? Okay. Chairman for life. We want to appreciate you for the role you played during the exercise, but we also come and appreciate you separately in my closing on your commitment so far on this matter. You have to bear with us. Professor Magafi has a short fuse. We have to go and weld a longer fuse around it so that you can manage this tradition. We thank you very much and bear with us with all the shortcomings. Thank you. Especially from the other room. Let me first of all appreciate the Conserving Fund. We'll also make it easy for conservators to attain whatever it is that they can. We also want to assure you that all the advice you give here during these conferences, we're going to sit down as a board, we'll filter it, the various committees will act, and we will contact the relevant publics. Where it concerns government, we'll reach out to governments. Why it concerns institutions, we reach out to institutions. And why it requires that we get in touch with our development partners, anywhere, World Bank, ADB, and so on, we'll do that. But importantly is that we all have a buy-in. So, I don't know, Prof, anything? So, I thank you very much. So, please, it will take us a little time if we organize well. Thank you very much, and God bless you.